Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 animated series Shredder 2.0 figure. Whew, that's a lot of words. This version of Shredder first appeared in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Season 1, Episode 1, Turtle Tracks from December 28th of 1987. He was created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. He's a Japanese human male whose real name is Orokusaki. He's the leader of the Foot Clan, a ninja master. Some sources cite him as an Olympic-level athlete. And if I remember correctly, he has a porcelain collection that has a whole room dedicated to it in the Technodrome. And in my opinion, and the opinion of Turtle Soup Podcast, the life partner of Krang, at least in the 1987 animated series. So the box art here is really cool. Neca, as usual, does a fantastic job with their artwork on these boxes, and this is no different. But we're not here to talk about this box. We're here to talk about this figure. So let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Shredder. All right, y'all, fresh out the box, this Shredder is amazing. I am completely taken with this figure. Don't get me wrong. Shredder on his own, and I've said this in other Shredder reviews, is one of the coolest villains, not just based on his personality and what he does and his character, but just his look. And NECA managed to, not like I'm surprised because they do a great job, but they really captured the look and the intensity of Shredder, like early Shredder in the animated series, because this Shredder looks like he doesn't cut anyone any slack. I mean, and I wouldn't either if I was the Turtles, because he doesn't look like he needs any slack. He looks like he's got all he needs. And I don't know. I'm just very taken with this. The sculpt looks sharp, and not just because of all of his blades. Like, obviously, yes, that is a reason why he looks sharp, but he just looks just very tight and crisp, just very fit. Like, he's a lot fitter than I thought he was going to be. Like, I thought he might have been a little bit more bulkier, like how the Archie Adventure Shredder was. And I thought that was just going to be a straight repaint. And I don't think it is. I think that this one is thinner, like a little bit more, like I said, like fit. And not as bulky. I thought that Shredder was pretty darn perfect. Now I don't know, because this is in the running for one of my favorite Shredder figures, just fresh out the box. He has a nice solid weight to him. He feels substantial, so that's really cool. And he just looks so good. The line work and the muscle definition and everything is great. And then the colors just work so well together. And on top of that, the head sculpt, which, you know, Shredder wears a helmet, so obviously he's got that going on, so there's not much as far as a face there, but the eyes and the eyebrows and just how angry he is, oh, it's so good. Like, you could just see him yelling at the Turtles or Bebop and Rocksteady or Krang or really just anybody. And I don't know, he just looks so menacing and fantastic, and I am just very happy with this. I feel like they totally upgraded this version of Shredder compared to their previous one, which came in the I think it was an 8-pack back for a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which I did a review on years ago. And then I think they also reissued that one in a 2-pack with Leonardo, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this Shredder just puts that one to shame, in my opinion. The other thing that he's got going for him is he's got the cloth fabric cape, which is nice, superior to the plastic stiff cape. However, I would have absolutely loved if it had the bendy wire in it. That would have just made this figure like just unstoppable. Yeah, maybe I couldn't handle that. Maybe NECA knew that. Maybe NECA's like, this figure's already too cool looking and too awesome that we're going to need to just not put the wired cape in there, because I don't think people can handle it. And you know, that's probably good on them for looking out for us in that regard. But still, I want to be the judge of that, you know, and have the option. But that all being said, this Shredder comes with 7 interchangeable hands. 3 interchangeable heads, 1 with the helmet and mouthguard, 1 helmetless head, and then 1 with the helmet and the Eye of Zarnoth attached from Season 2, Episode 5, Curse of the Evil Eye. A floppy disk, a stack of Shredder money from Season 3, Episode 43, Shredderville, a chef's hat, more than likely from the Season 3, Episode 26, Pizza by the Shred, a framed photo of Shredder's mom, Miyoko Saki, a Medi laser from the Season 3, Episode 1, Beneath These Streets, which also has a removable piece from the handle that apparently was a part of the plot in the episode, and thanks to the nostalgiaspot.com for pointing that out, because I was kind of just like, I couldn't remember that. The Diary of the Kojima Brothers from Season 5, Episode 3, My Brother the Bad Guy, and the Star of Brazil necklace from Season 3, Episode 16, 4 Musketurtles. All right, now let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of Shredder 2.0. So starting at the head, you got 360 at the neck. This part comes off. I knew that, so that didn't really scare me. Yeah, you got 360 at the neck and the head. He can look side to side. Well, turn his head side to side a decent amount. And yeah, you got, pretty decent range of motion there. He can't really look up too much, just a little bit maybe. He can look down, a little bit, but not a whole lot going on there. But as far as 360 and side to side, you got plenty of that. Moving to the shoulders, the buck does provide for 360 at the shoulder. However, his shoulder pads do impede that. This is about as far as you can get the arm up. But yeah, be careful with those because let's see, where's mine? Other one. This other one popped off. So there you go. So you might want to be careful with the arm articulation on this one. But moving to the bicep, you have 360 at the bicep, and then you have double jointed elbows, which are always nice. Then you got 360 at the wrist as well as a joint for some wrist action. And then moving on to the torso, he's got 360 at the waist. He also has a soft goods cape is what I meant to say. So that's just flopping around. He's got some wiggle room on the side to side action, not really that much, but just a little bit. He can lean back a decent amount, I guess, and he can lean forward quite a bit, not too bad. And so there is that, and he also has some side-to-side action there in the upper part of the torso as well. Then moving on to the legs, a fair amount of split range. I don't want to press it too hard, but he can do a decent amount. It is impeded by his trunks a little bit, so that's going to be an issue potentially. But if you're trying to get Shredder to do a bunch of splits. Let's see. I'm trying to see if you can see up in there. I think he does have a swivel in the upper thigh area, but it's hard to tell, and I can't really... I mean, I guess I can do it right here. You can't see it, but I can totally make use of the articulation. And then he has double-jointed knees right there. Let's see. There's that. Oh, I should probably show the how far he can kick out. Yeah. It is impeded by his skirt and his trunks a little bit, so that's going to hinder some leg articulation, but there's plenty of it here with the different parts of it that you can get plenty of movement if you need it. He also has a swivel at the calf, I guess is where that is. It's hard to tell exactly. Yeah, it is. It's right there. It splits it right down the middle. So that's really cool. I really like that a lot. And then he's got an ankle rocker, which is always fun. And it looks like he would have toe articulation, but he does not. It is a solid foot there, which is appropriate for the leader of the foot. And speaking of appropriate, I do believe that is, if I'm not mistaken, all the articulation you're going to get out of... Oh, hold on. Let's put this back in. Out of the Shredder 2.0. So according to Turtlepedia, this version of Shredder stands at around 6'2" and weighs around 200 pounds according to various sources. This figure of Shredder stands at around 7 inches tall and weighs a little over 5 ounces. So now let's see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here he is with NECA's Alf and the SH Figuarts 87 animated series Michelangelo. Here he is with the NECA Mirage Comics knockoff colored bandana Raphael and the NECA Return to New York 4-pack Leonardo. Here he is with Super 7's Donatello and NECA's 1987 animated series Donatello. Here he is with NECA's April O'Neil 2.0 and Irma from the Channel 6 4-pack. Here he is with NECA's Bebop and Rocksteady from the 1987 animated series. Here he is with NECA's Baxter Stockman the Fly and Krang in his robot walker body. Here he is with Hasbro's Fortnite Meowscles and Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Commander. Here he is with SH Figuarts Senkocho Seiho Shadow Moon and Masters of the Universe Classics Cobra Khan. Here he is with Jada Toys Mega Man Cutman and Figma's Samus. Here he is with Jada Toys Street Fighter Fei Long and Hasbro's Marvel Legends Wolverine. Here he is with McFarlane's DC Multiverse Corrupted Superman and Mattel's New Eternia Skeletor. Here he is with DC Direct's Batman Arkham Asylum Killer Croc and Marvel Selects Hulk. And here he is with the NECA Mirage Comics Shredder from the Foot Clan 4-pack. Here he is with NECA's Karai as the Shredder. Here he is with Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection Morphed Shredder. Here he is with NECA's 1987 animated series Shredder 1.0 from the SDCC 8-pack. And here he is with the NECA Archie Comics Shredder. The Shredder, arguably one of the best villains in all of modern pop culture fiction, not only due to his killer looks, but his level of prestige and cunning and foreboding presence. All of that usually trickles down to all of the iterations of this character that started with the comics, but that was perfected, in my opinion, with this version. And this version is probably the most well-known, being introduced at the beginning of the initial TMNT craze with the animated series. And that being said, I know there's a huge amount of nostalgia here, given that I was the prime demographic for the cartoon, but still, I like to think that regardless of all that, Shredder is still a badass, and this figure is no different. Once again, NECA has nailed the look of this character in plastic form. It's just oozing with coolness and belies the buffoonery of his 87 animated series counterpart. Like, this reminds me of Shredder from seasons 1 and 2 before he became a caricature of himself. He feels great and looks appropriately built physically, where he's not too big, but also not too thin either. And I feel like the original figure they released of this character was a little too thin, especially in comparison, even though I probably loved it when it came out and I reviewed it. Speaking of different versions of this character, I thought for sure that they'd repaint the Archie Adventures figure, but I believe that that one is slightly larger than this one. Maybe it's the paint playing tricks on my eyes or whatever, but it definitely looks and feels slightly different. That being said, I'm glad that they did whatever they did to this one to make it look this way, because I feel like it's perfect. I enjoyed the Archie one too, don't get me wrong, and I love its size and everything about it based on its source material as well. And I think that that looks great and perfect for that version, but this one is just spot on. The accessories are great. Always love getting more accessories, even if I don't use them. And these are excellent. I love the Shredder money, though. Like, that's probably my favorite. Also, the chef's hat is great, and the floppy disk. I just wish that more NECA toys, especially in this line, would come with things like the floppy disk, like certain things that can be used with other characters that aren't necessarily tied to a specific character, but that just helps to build the world and that we can use for different things. I love that, and I really appreciate it. The meta ray gun is cool and accurate, but a little too bulky in my opinion. All the other accessories are great, and I'm super glad that they included them. The one annoying thing, though, is that since the crest on his helmet, I guess that's what you call it, can be switched out with the one featuring the Eye of Sarnath, it had a tendency to pop off a lot while I was posing him, so that was kind of problematic, but it's a minor gripe. The other thing is, I would have loved a sword, though. That would have been great, but I'm sure I've got swords somewhere here with all the figures that Neca's put out that I can use, so there's probably some logic there as to why they didn't include one, but that would have been cool. So with a lot of Neca figures in this line, I have an apprehension to put these figures in too many dynamic poses because I have a tendency for them to sometimes break. Now, that being said, I might have had it happen actually just once or twice, and still that's enough for me not to want to do too much crazy stuff with these figures. But that's generally because of the stuck joints that need to be heated up and whatever. Regardless, that being said, I didn't put this Shredder into too many crazy poses, but his presence alone is a lot of fun to put just in situations and have him in shots because he's just so cool looking and just, like I said, it oozes coolness. And so, yeah, but all the articulations there as I showed earlier, and yeah, you can do a lot of cool stuff with this figure. That being said, he absolutely works extremely well with pretty much every TMNT figure Neca has put out, with probably the exception being the live action TMNT, but he looks amazing with Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady, and I think he works well with most any other figures based on a video game or cartoon or potentially a comic book. His look isn't too stylized to alienate him from other lines like Legends or Jada or Lightning Collection, so I think you'll be able to get a lot of use out of this figure if you're mixing and matching. Overall, I love this figure. It's a huge improvement over the previous version and really elevates the quality and coolness of this collection, in my opinion. My only gripe besides the stiff stuck joints is that if he came with a wired bendy cape, that would have set this Shredder as probably one of the greatest ever. But the soft fabric cape is fine, so what can you do? So if you lack a Shredder figure, then this is probably the best animated cartoon version out there and will not disappoint. And it's probably just a really good default Shredder figure for you if you're looking for that too. If you collect Shredder figures though, then you definitely need this one. If you have a shelf dedicated to characters who have sharp armor, then Shredder will totally make the cut there. Or if you collect figures who are named after kitchen or office appliances, then you will absolutely love Neca's Shredder 2.0. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite version of Shredder? Do you prefer this one over the first version? Do you like the Archie one better? And let me know all that in the comments. And if you happen to want to hear me talk more about the Shredder and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can head on over to Turtle Soup Show here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts and find that my friend Ryan and I have been doing a Ninja Turtles podcast for about over 10 years now. And we have certainly talked about the Shredder multiple times, and this version in particular, and have very strong opinions about him. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go check that out. Like, subscribe over there too. Means a lot. And until then, else time.